Ghost of Yotei's budget will seemingly be around the same as Ghost of Tsushima, which was reported at roughly $60 million. Just to bear in mind, Spider-Man 1 reportedly had a budget of $90 million. Spider-Man 2, roughly $300 million. And again, these are not just made up numbers, okay? Like the people often say Concord cost $400 million. The Concord $400 million number literally came from just Colin Moriarty saying that he had a source who said he had heard it cost around $400 million. As far as I'm aware, and I could be wrong, but as far as I'm aware right now, that number has not been corroborated by anybody else. The $400 million number for Concord. I think to get there, you have to build in the cost of acquisitions, the cost of other development houses working on it, opportunity cost and marketing costs, all of that stuff. Then maybe you can get to $400 million. But even then, it's been disputed by a lot of people. This number, the $300 million number, that comes from that leak of Insomniac's internal data with their like slideshows and stuff that were not public facing. So that comes from data internal that you were never supposed to see. And that said it was 300 million. Okay. So this is not just making it up. KCD2's budget was reported around 40 million US dollars as well. I don't think it's because of the scope, but due to employee count and mismanagement. I think absolutely there is a component of that. I will also say I've been blessed. I've been blessed by the power of the Lord to go and see some of these studios, to go and meet some of these developers in the studio, the building where they make these games. And I will say some of them have blown me away with how bougie they are. Okay. If you're making the best games in the industry and you're making ridiculous money, I'm okay if you have like a private chef. That's cool. That's badass. Imagine, Jacob, if we had a studio where we were working and I had a private chef for us to make dinners and lunches every day. That would be super cool. And if you're at the top of the industry, spend your money however you want. But I've seen even studios that are not at the top of their game that are in these unbelievably beautiful, like skyscrapers with 30, 40 foot tall ceilings on each floor. So they have like 3-4 floors for each floor of the studio because it's so expansive. Like unbelievable amounts of money spent on things that ultimately don't really matter. And it's why it's also funny. You compare it to some of these other studios that reportedly have much tighter budgets. And it's always funny to me how the tighter budgeted studios always seem to have more humble studio spaces. Kojima Productions, for example. It's a whole lot of like cubicles and open floor space, but this is their studio. Okay. Like this is Kojima Productions. This is where they make Death Stranding and all of that. And they have some beautiful vistas and stuff. Absolutely. They have like this little meeting area. As you can see, it's like a little bar area where you can sit, but this is where the work is happening. You're all together kind of in this space. Some of the places I've been to do not work that way. Like it's crazy. The amount of money they've spent in these. Probably the craziest studio. I didn't get to see this one in person. I've seen pictures of it and videos of it, but this was absolutely crazy. It's S Game. The guys making Phantom Blade Zero. Their CEO, as far as I understand it, used to be an environment designer on like sci-fi games. And this is what their studio looks like. Okay. Like it's crazy. This is their conference room. One of them. Like, again, I respect it. That's cool. You can actually go, the guys that went out to China, they actually got to tour the studios and see this and do interviews and stuff in them. This is legitimately what it looks like. It does kind of look AI generated because everybody's like, no, how on earth would you do this? Why would you do this in a studio? It's just badass, dude. But this is the reason I bring this up is because some of the things like that can drive up development costs because you are spending a lot of money on a really fancy building, on really fancy furniture, on renovations to the building, on a private chef in the studio space, on a private gym. There was one of the places I visited a studio that had a full, it was like, I think they said it was like 3,500 square foot gym that was just for their company, not for the building, for their company. And listen, part of the reason that they do this is to appeal to talent, because if you're trying to get like one of the top level designers or programmers or I don't know, gameplay designers in the world, and you're trying to get them to move over from maybe Rockstar, who has a really cool office. If you can say, yeah, we've also got this gym in the office, we've got a sauna in the office, we've got this and that, a private chef, all that. It's amenities to attract the talent and retain it. So that, you could argue, is part of the expense, is to like retain talent. But that's also, I think, how some of these studios end up with just ungodly budgets. Okay. Because money gets spent on all of this other stuff. It's similar to what you've seen if you've ever seen one of those videos of like a day in the life of a Facebook employee. It will like break your brain, where for one, it seems like they're not doing anything, but then they just spend all day eating. Maybe this is it. Is this the video I was thinking of?
After I had my coffee, because I feel like I'm so much better with caffeine. So I'm a remote employee, but today I fly into Austin to go to the downtown Austin office. This place is massive with 20 plus floors. So because I don't know where I'm going, I head to the Wayfinder and search for the closest cafe. I make my way to breakfast and decide to have tofu smashed and scrambled eggs. Yes, I'm a vegetarian and been that way for 7 years. After breakfast, I grab a bran and almond flour and an yerba mate drink to bring me through the next 4 meetings. Because I don't sit in the office, I actually don't have a seat. So I make my way to the library to find a cozy spot to take the next 4 hours worth of meetings. Done with meetings, and I realize that I forget to bring my toothbrush. Good news for me is Uncle Zuck already thought about that. Wait, who's that? Hey girl, hey. Anyways, off to lunch to meet my totally badass minority sister friend who is completely self-made, dominated the ad business. We go to this bougie little country club place for midday cocktails. Back to the office. In full transparency, I only go back to the office to take pictures and hang out on the terrace. Time to grab a Red Bull after a long day at work, and suddenly I realized, damn, I drink too much coffee. Anyways, ladies, follow me if you want to live the FANG life, and I'll give you tips and tricks and best practice on how to land a job in tech.
Meanwhile, you woke up early to drive to work, and you packed your own lunch, and you got home feeling sore and tired, trying to provide for your family. I don't know. And unfortunately, there's a lot of videos like that. Like, this is a separate one. We don't have to watch the whole thing. All catered food, catered drinks. They do meetings, like 4 or 5 meetings, more food. And then, yeah, this is at Instagram. And then they go and see an art exhibit, it seems. Like, more food. Why is it always just food, dude? They're working at Facebook and all they post about is the food. It's ridiculous. But this is part of the reason in like modern tech jobs, a lot of money gets spent on stupid stuff. Just stupid stuff, okay? It just does, okay? Now, I'm not necessarily saying that that's what's happening with Spider-Man 2, but it really does make me wonder, how on earth do they spend $300 million on a game that most people thought was meh? And that was like all of 12 to 15 hours long. Yeah, I know. Luke, there's more stuff if you're a completionist. I know. 99% of people are not completionists, though. Like, the core content was pretty lacking. And it was certainly not more expansive, as far as I could tell, beyond the added boroughs than Spider-Man 1 was. And certainly in terms of like gameplay offerings, because most of it was developed within Miles Morales. So I don't know how you get to that number, other than mismanagement, misspending. I don't even know. I don't know. That's such a ridiculously high number. It's insane. Horizon 1 cost roughly $60 million. Horizon 2 cost 212. $212 million. Like, we get numb to these numbers because they're big, but it's hard to put into words how much freaking money that is, and how utterly amazing it is that the games don't perform as well as they should, given that spending. Like, for example, Horizon 1 cost $60 million. The big problem for Horizon Forbidden West, and I've talked to Joe Raptor about this on our podcast, was that it did not, as far as we know with all publicly available data, it did not substantially or significantly in any way outperform the first game. It sold about as well as the first game, if not a little bit worse. Now, granted, Horizon 1 went on discount. It became kind of a mascot game for the PlayStation 5, so they wanted to really push it out there and get it in front of people. So they did bundles with it. They did it heavy discounts on it. So that certainly helped in terms of raw unit count. But the point is, if you spend 3.5, 4 times as much money on the second game versus the first, you would expect it to outperform the first, right? Like you'd at least hope that it would do that, but it's not. The budgets are skyrocketing, but the performance of the games subsequently, the performance is not skyrocketing, which is a big problem. Last of Us Part 1 cost roughly $20 million. Last of Us Part 2 cost around 240. 240. Where's that money going? That's a great question. Fantastic question. You know, we actually did a segment on where maybe some of this money is going. Because I follow Neil Druckmann on Instagram, and if you watch occasionally, you can find some interesting things. But I like watches too. And so what I want to do is start a new rare segment. We won't do it all the time, called Neil's Watch, where we watch out for Neil's watches and see how nice they are, and I show you how much they're worth. Because, and then I play our jingle.
Neil has a lot more money than you. He's better than us. We're poor.
Neil does, in fact, have a lot more money than us, and therefore he is better and we are poor. This watch right here, he's got a picture playing Ninja Gaiden on the Switch 2 in Alaska. Baller. Love that. This watch, I believe I found it. Question. It is a Patek Philippe 16R 001. The Aquanaut travel time. And if it is in fact this one, this is a quite nice watch. This is a very nice watch. Comes in just under 70K brand new. Might have bought it used. A lot of people buy their watches used. But honestly, if you made The Last of Us, if you made one of the most successful game franchises of all time, you are president of Naughty Dog, you can get yourself a really nice watch. I'll tell you what. And again, I respect it. You make a lot of money, you spend the money how you want, but I get to notice it and talk about it. Them's the rules. I'm just telling you, that's how it works. So, I mean, clearly there's a lot of money being spent on these games, like a crazy amount of money being spent on them. And the money has to be going somewhere. And the people at the top are starting to flex ridiculously nice apparel, which, let's be honest, I'm jealous of. I would love a Patek Philippe. I ain't that rich. You know, I just ain't. I ain't that rich. So yes, people are like, Luke, you're just jealous of him. Mm-hmm. Yes. Got me. Yes. I would love to have enough money where I could casually spend $70,000 on a watch. Yeah, of course. Yeah, spending a very nice salary on a watch. Yeah, hell yeah. I respect it. So I don't know where all the money's going. We know with like Bungie, for example, a lot of the people that were in the upper echelons of Bungie were making a lot of money and sort of, I mean, it seems like it definitely wasn't going towards making better games. There was the stories of the CEO's buying habits where he's spending like $2.5-3 million in the span of a year on different cars and stuff. You know, there's certainly people that are making a lot of money while the budgets are skyrocketing. And I don't think it's the low level employees. I don't think it is. Maybe it is. Maybe they've given 30, 40, 50% raises to the entire teams. But based on the job postings, I've not seen that happen yet. I just haven't. I have not. Maybe it is. Maybe I just need to get good, but I've not seen that. But all of this to say, I know I said at the top of this was going to be a mini segment, and then it's just turned into me rambling for 20 minutes. Sorry, Jacob. Have fun with this one. That's what makes this all the more remarkable, that they've managed to put this together for $60 million. Is it that they've just, like, I guess, held back spending on watches and terraces? Maybe. Is it that they've not tried to push the software boundary too much? Maybe. Is it that perhaps with some of these projects with the bloated expenses, are they bundling into this through some clever accounting some of the costs on other things that didn't see the light of day? Like, is part of the part 2 expense some of the Last of Us Online development that started in 2019 through 2020? Did they take some of that cost and bundle it into the part 2's spend? I don't know. Maybe part of Spider-Man 2's budget being $300 million is also money spent on the online mode that was canceled. Who knows? You just never know. But it makes it all the more remarkable that they've managed to keep it at $60 million for Ghost of Yotei, which means that almost certainly this thing is going to be a money-making machine. You know, it is. It's already topping the pre-order charts globally. Even the deluxe edition versions are. And as long as it doesn't review abysmally badly, it should sell very, very well and make a hefty profit. Jor clipped this little tidbit from the article where he actually gave a broader interview. This is, I believe, the same interview where the CEO, or rather the co-founder, Brian Fleming, was asked about the employee who got fired and finally addressed it and was like, yep, there's no place in our studio if you're celebrating political assassinations. Shocker. You're not going to have a job for very long. But yeah, it's a very interesting interview. I recommend you check it out. But what he said was, when we look at the financials and costs, the man years, the amount of months that the team times the size of the team worked on it, it's very, very similar actually, which again is just crazy. It's in an age of skyrocketing costs, they've managed to keep the budget that low. It makes you pause and go, okay, so is this a management issue, or is this an IP issue, or like what's going on? How is it that you can have a AAA PlayStation game in the form of Yotei that's 60 while Spider-Man 2 is costing 300 million? Is it literally just the Spider-Man like Marvel licensing stuff? Is that what it is? Is it that, like you said, Darth, is it that they've been able to reuse a lot of assets? Maybe. That's probably a big component of it. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They can reuse a lot of stuff. So I'm sure that's a component of it. People have complained that the game looks and probably plays pretty similarly to Ghost of Tsushima. And as a result, it probably has not had to have a ton of extra work done by contractors or by outside firms to rebuild components of it and come up with all new models, animations, everything. Like, they've been able to reuse a lot of that. I'm not sure. But this is a very viable project. 60 million bucks, put it together, and you can, and now that's adjusted for, this is not adjusted for 2025 dollars. So anybody who's saying that, like, he's quoting it as being roughly the same time, same size, amount of people working on it, time working on it, months working on it. He's saying that the work that's gone into Yotei is about the same as the first game. And from that, we're extrapolating the budget, because the first game cost 60. So if it's pretty much the same amount of work, it should be about 60. No doubt costs have risen for certain things. So it's probably more like 80 to 90 million if you adjust for inflation, likely pay raises, added costs for everything else, whether it's healthcare or real estate, rentals, hardware, server, infrastructure, all of that. But still, coming in at 80 to 90 million is still way better than 300. Especially because Ghost of Yotei will probably sell pretty damn well. I don't know if it'll sell as well as Spider-Man 2, because Spider-Man 2 is a Spider-Man game, but still, it'll turn a hefty profit for sure. We'll see. I think Spider-Man 2 cut a lot of content from the budget to use for spin-offs and future games. It's very, very possible. It's very possible. And it's like I've said a bajillion times. Typically in business, any degree in business, if you see something that doesn't make sense, like a $300 million budget for something, and you're like, that doesn't make sense, almost always there is an explanation. There is an answer. You just are missing a piece of the puzzle that will make it make sense. You're wondering why Bethesda got so greedy all of a sudden in 2018. People are like, have they lost their minds? What's going on? And then you get the added piece of information. Oh, they're trying to sell. Oh, they're trying to boost their numbers so they can get more when they sell to a daddy company. Oh, it all connects, right? So typically if something doesn't make sense, it's because you're just missing a piece of the puzzle that will make it make sense. And in the case of Spider-Man 2, the budget, I don't know if it's, I suspect they might have bundled in some of the development cost on the multiplayer stuff that they scrapped. You're right. They might have stripped out certain quests, certain, I don't even know, certain stuff that they worked on that they intended to put in the game that they pulled out for DLC that they eventually scrapped and walked away from. I don't know. Is there a mommy company Yeah. I'll let you figure out which one. But yes. There's a daddy company and a mommy company. And when they get together, they have a baby company. It's like when Microsoft, the daddy company, gets with NVIDIA, the mommy company, they come together and they have a baby company called OpenAI. Isn't that great? It's beautiful when you think about it. It really is. It really is a beautiful thing if you break it down, if you think about it. We'll see how Ghost of Yotei settles out. I love it when Jor's just like, not true. I respect it. Because this is a post from Leaks and Rumors. For those wondering how they spent so much, at least most of it went to salaries, bonuses, benefits of their own employees. Oh, and they also need to sell 7.2 million full price. And this is a screen cap from the slideshow from the leaks. And oh, I see what they did. They're looking at a slideshow of the overall budget from the leaks, and then they're trying to say that that's specific spending for Spider-Man 2 when that's not what it is. I'm not going to show the screen caps that they showed because it also includes specific information about like employee information. So I'm not going to show that on screen, but yeah, there is information here, but it's about the broader company. It's not about specific project breakdowns. The $300 million price tag for Spider-Man was specific for Spider-Man 2. Like it wasn't just broad company spending, because the company's working on multiple things at the same time. So if you're like, hey, the company spent $300 million in 2025, it's like, okay, but what projects was that on? Was it on 3 projects? Oh, then you break it down how much money was spent on each one. You know, it's not as simple as just looking at the balance sheet and concluding what they did for individual projects. But anyway. So interesting little find by Joe Raptor within the interview. Like I said, I think most likely the actual cost, because he's just describing it as work, the actual cost is probably still higher. It's probably like $90 million or something if you consider that they've given raises to people and cost of expenses on everything else have also raised. But overall, they've not like doubled the head count to put out this game. Like they've managed to keep it pretty much similar, which is a rarity nowadays. So props to them. But who knows? Maybe for the next game, they'll get that terrace and the... the private chef, and they'll go to lunch with their, what was it? What did you say it was, Caleb? A badass minority sister that made it in selling pop-up ads. Yeah, maybe for the next game they'll get that and they can finally turn this around. But we'll see. Oh my God. He took my thing.